All right. We are in here. And as usual, if you guys are in the chat, make sure you say what's up. Let me know you're in the chat. Some of y'all might be at work, trying to burn some time. It is what it is, right? All right. So, and let me know if I'm echoing two sources of audio. Sometimes, so let me turn that one down. But yeah, to start off, so the juicing recipe that I'm doing today is not a green one. However, I didn't want to leave you guys hanging on something green, especially when we talk about iron. People have different types of anemia, sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, just low red blood count, even low B12, low folate. People wind up with different types of anemia, megaloblastic anemia, which means the red blood cells are too big, and microcytic anemia, which is where the red blood cells are too small, and those are both attached to B12 and folate levels, the maturity of the red blood cell, basically. But what I have in my hand here is a leaf called dandelion, and dandelion leaf. If you guys listen to Dr. Africa, they used to eat something called poke salad, and this was the leaf that they used to use as their primary salad. They wouldn't use lettuce all the time unless they were using wild lettuce. So dandelion green, bitter. If you guys ever had Tylenol before, when you eat dandelion, it's moving towards that bitterness of Tylenol. So when you eat it, you have to be accustomed to bitter taste, because people see sweet as good, buttery as good, salt as good, but they forgot about bitter. And since you weren't raised on it, people tend to call bitter and different flavors. They use the term acquired taste, when really bitter should be one of your basic tastes. Dandelion being high in iron is a really big deal. So this is dandelion. Put it close to the right cam here. It also has versions where the stalk is red. I didn't get that one today, but yeah. Yo, Uncle Gary, would it be like? But yes, dandelion greens. So people with iron issues, start tossing a lot of dandelion greens into what it is that they eat. And obviously it's green, so magnesium levels will be there to help out with energy production. And since iron is of primary importance, iron, oxygen, water, and then you get magnesium in there to help your body produce what we call ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, which is the what we like to call money, the currency your body uses in order to make actions happen. And the contraction and relaxation of your muscles is highly dependent upon calcium and magnesium. Magnesium being the ability to relax, and calcium being the ability to contract. Now, calcium obviously cannot be utilized without you getting your vitamin D levels high, which is why if you look at some of your vitamin D supplements, it says cholecalciferol. The calcif is the calcium, okay, and the chole being the cholesterol. So if you're on statin drugs, or you don't have much cholesterol in your body where you should, and you don't have any calcium in your body, that's going to be related to your ability to get more sunlight, because you can't supplement vitamin D in totality. The process of creating vitamin D and getting all the rays from the sun are very important. So you have to make sure that you're getting the sunlight too. You can't vitamin D supplement yourself all the way through. All right, so dandelion, that is our green that I wanted to show you guys, since we are not dealing with a green in today's juice. All right. Any questions about that? Feel free to drop them in the chat. Right. All right, so this time the juice that I'm making is based on what I had in the last live stream. I was explaining at the end of the last live stream what juice that I can make that had a bit of an orangish color. It's not the deepest orange color, however, it's close. And I substituted the apple that I'm using this time. I usually use Granny Smith apple. This time I'm using Fuji, and I'm hoping that I got the right one. I think I do. I'm used to using Red Delicious in the past, but I was at the Whole Foods and I was asking him which one would allow me to juice and not turn into applesauce. And he recommended Fuji. He said he was sure of it. So I grabbed up Fuji, but if it turns into applesauce, I'm gonna be real salty making this juice. That's gonna be a fail right there, right? What else do we have? A lot of people ask about anti-inflammatory, and the primary thing that people talk about is turmeric. So what I have right now today to show you guys is turmeric and ginger. I'm showing you both because of how close they look. And a lot of people don't really shop for live turmeric. And I'm going to put this in the camera right now. But when most people get turmeric, this is the one that they grab. They get this turmeric root powder, right? But what a lot of people don't pay attention to, and I'll sit that right here, just off to the side, is they never get the turmeric root. We get that close so that it focuses. There we go. Close enough right here, closer. It's not focusing like it just did, but this is turmeric root. And it has that yellowish color right there that you just saw in the jar. Basically, the difference between this and the jar is when the water is removed. When you remove the water, you don't have the ability to flush it out. When you have the actual root, it still has the water in it. I run my finger across this root. It has a good pigment to it. It will stain my finger. So the root itself, most people cook this with gloves on their hand because it'll leave a stain, a yellowish stain to your hands if you don't. Okay, now check this out. So this is also another part of the turmeric root. Now here's the thing, check this out. Let me break off a piece over here. Turmeric root, ginger root. See that? So when people shop, they should know that the natural turmeric root looks like this, okay? And the ginger is like this. If we, let me see, bring the other turmeric root back out, see the color difference? Try to get that close. See, that's your color difference. Turmeric, ginger, but both roots, they have that root look to them, okay? You can tell that's good because it's strong. When you get your herbs, if your herbs are not very strong, when you smell them, that means they're losing their potency, which means they're not going to be as helpful as you think they are. Say ginger, this is the live ginger, right? So you got the dry ginger, you got the wet ginger over there. So a little bit of both. We'll sit that turmeric here, ginger here, right in front of the roots, right there. All right. Emmanuel Briggs in the building. What's going on? Let me know my volume's good too, guys. Let me know if anything's wrong with the volume before I get started here. You see a pineapple sitting up here. The one we're going to cut is right here. This is the pineapple that was in the last live stream. Now, if you look at the last live stream we did with Juice and Talk, it was completely green. Now you look at it, it's yellow, and it's starting to formulate dark spots, which is a signal I need to hurry up and use it, but it's also a signal that it's going to be sweet. So if you look at the fact that I got Fuji apples, carrots in the bowl, right? Let's bring that up. We got carrots in the bowl, 6 carrots, nice sized carrots, 2 large ones. And we have our lemon, as usual, to cut things a little bit, you know, to cut into the just one-sided taste. So we have a pretty sweet juice that we got here. This was a juice recipe I was telling everybody that I used to help my family member replace Sunny Delight. So that's exactly the recipe that I'm going to use right now. So instead of them drinking the Sunny Delight, they'll be drinking all natural fruits. Now, this is not a recommended juice in this form if you are diabetic, because it's a lot of fruit sugars and stuff and glucose attached to it. And remember, it's not about that it's fruits and veggies. It's about the fact that your gas tank is overfilled, so to speak. You have too much carbohydrates and sugar crystals floating through your bloodstream, and you don't want to add any to it more than you're taking it away. So it's not about when the food is healthy, that matters when you're in a normal state of health. But if the food is full of sugars and you have diabetes, you're not exactly helping yourself. You're eating something better than the artificial stuff, but that doesn't mean you're doing good for yourself because, again, your gas tank is pretty much overfilled with carbs, so you want to cut down on the carbs. So this wouldn't be great for you. You want to look more towards the green juice that I did last week, and you want to up the amount of greens in that juice that we did last week, and you want to lower the amount of apples, cut the amount of apples in half. So instead of 6, you do 3. You notice most of my recipes have 6. So that's just a choice. If you want to add a little spice, obviously we got the lemon, but if you want to spice up your juice a little bit, you got the ginger too. You can throw some slices of ginger in there if you want. All right, sounds good. That's what's up. All right, let's get it cracking. So like I said, the carrots are already over here cut. So because I don't want to really fight too much with the juicer, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break these carrots down even further. So get that out of there. These really thick pieces, they could take a minute to run through, push through the juicer. So I usually just slice them lengthwise like that. What are carrots also good for when you're juicing? Carrots are good when you want to, like sometimes when you juice greens, the greens will kind of jam up the juicer a little bit and make things come out slower. If you send a carrot through, it'll push all that excess out. So in terms of juicing, carrots are good for normalizing that issue. Cut this one lengthwise too. This one. This one might not be too bad, but I'm going to slice it lengthwise again anyway. Colors are very important. You'll notice we have a lot of flavonoids in this one. A lot of colors going from red to yellow. So you're going to have lycopene, lutein, colors like that, right? All right, so carrots, ready to go. Now, pineapple. Apples always go last because they turn brown very fast. So let's move the apples aside for a second. We're gonna take off the branch here. For those of you using knives and you haven't used them long, remember always cut forward. Knives don't saw and cut backwards first, they cut forward and down. So that's the top there. Pieces, we want just measure about an inch for each piece and get as many of them as you can. So about 1 inch each. See how many more. We can probably get 1 or 2 more. Edge that off. I think I can edge that off. Yep. And then what I like to do is I like to go around the edge. I'm not worried about the fibers and things that show up in it because I'm juicing. The juicer is going to push that out anyway. Rotate. And I just spin it like this as I go around. You ring it like that. Now, depending on how big the ring is, you'll make 4 bars or 3. 4 is safe to me for going down the juicer. Roll over. Like I said last week, if you guys never had like straight pineapple juice doing this, you should definitely do it. You get to see the difference between the like canned and bottled pineapple juice versus the real thing. You'll notice a lot of stores do pineapple and ginger together too. Right? Check. If y'all out there in the chat world, make sure when y'all come in, y'all say what's up so I know who's in the building. And like I said, if y'all got any questions, throw them in there. Gives me a reason to run my mouth while I'm doing this, right? Another ring off. Yeah, let's go from here. Now there are like chefs who have really good knives, and what they'll do is they'll carve off the top of the pineapple, and they'll just cut sheets of the skin off the sides, and then they'll kind of cube that thing up from there, or line it up from there and dump it right in the juicer from there. The bigger your juicer is, when you have those industrial ones, you can throw like really large pieces in it. It's almost this whole session would be done really fast. This one was really close to the roll that out. This one was real close to the core, so I'm gonna cut away from the core there. Right. Yep. Like I said, because the pineapple was real yellow, it was going to be sweet anyway. Google me in the building. Would it be like take this extra stuff into the sink? Room for the apples to come on in. And remember, once you start cutting those apples, be prepared to go straight to the juicer because apples brown quick and your juice will turn brown. Another thing about apples is if you use a juicer that's too fast, then you're going to wind up turning the juice brown anyway because you introduce heat to it. And too much heat tends to denature the juice. Turn this sideways, get the juicer ready. Just like last time, we're going to use, let's go this way. That for the catch. Lemon off to the side. Let's do our apples. All right, eggs. That's what's up, Google. Thanks. All right, let's apple it up. Like I said, normally if I'm eating apples as like a snack, I would take the core out from these cuts. But because I'm juicing, I'm not really worried about the core too much because the juice will take all the excess stuff out. If you have a fiber issue because of your digestive tract, then you want to try and eat a lot of your fruits whole because you want to maintain the fiber content. Juice eliminates the majority of the insoluble fiber, which helps you package what it is you're going to have when you go to the bathroom. The soluble fiber may still be there because that kind of makes the water inside the fruit gel a little bit. So you're going to have some of the soluble fiber because it dissolves in water, and your fruit still has plenty of the water in it. Hence why you're making juice in the first place. Because the fruits that don't have a lot of water in them, you don't juice. You usually cook with them or do recipes and stuff with them. It's not a juice. Maybe a smoothie. Like there's people who put avocado in their smoothie. But like I said, I keep my stuff colorful, nutritious, and simple. I don't like to use 1,000,001 ingredients when I am creating things because then people have to do a lot of chasing in the supermarket and it can take a long time. And then you start using more bag stuff and packaged stuff. So like some people will make this recipe and be like, oh, I'll put a little bit of peanut butter in it, and I'll put a little bit of chia seeds in it, and I'll put a little bit of agave, and like it'll just be a whole lot of ingredients, and it's not my style because when I started studying holistic health, I started listening to what people's complaints about eating healthier was, and sometimes the ingredients, how many ingredients it is, and the price gets in the way. So I tried to create a center ground on price, taste, presentation, aka color when it comes to juice. All those things are important to me. Apples are cut. Check out the bowl thumbnail action, right? So those things are ready to go. I want to do it. So this over here so we can keep things in fast. ginger out the way. Put a juicer in the view. Snacks out the way. Got juice catch, pulp catch. And you guys remember from last time someone was saying, what do you do with the pulp? Well, you can put them in salads, you can put them in smoothies. Right? RTP in the building, Freddie Doll, I see you. What it would be like. That's I need the apple seeds too. Yes. Generally, melanated people don't have an issue with eating the apple seeds. They used to talk about phytic acid. That's classic inky right there. Phytic acid became an issue. Sometimes there's issues that are in the things that come along with fruits and veggies. And remember, the system is a European-run system. So the entire health system and a lot of the info you get is not built on how melanin people's bodies work. It's built on how European bodies work, aka white versus black. So because we're kind of behind in that regard, we have to find people who kind of help us out, you know, like Layla Africa, the doc, KT, some of these brown spots out of here. Because I don't want anything to be real oxidized in here because it'll mess with the color. Excellent tries in the building. All right, let's juice it. Let's get it popping. So you guys can see the colors. The colors. Let's get it. Like I said, it's not coming out like applesauce, so we in business. Because if you get the wild apple, you will get applesauce. At that point, you guys will go ahead and make a smoothie. Keep repeating. Apples go first because they oxidize fast. Yeah. Let me angle the camera for you guys. See what's going on. Put that about right there. Better, so you can see two angles. Barbara Sanders, what's going on? Would it be like? Now, how many of y'all out there in the chat world plan on being at Dr. Inky's event on July 10th? As y'all come out there to New York, we can link up. Get to see some people. Because one thing sure to happen is after the after the shutdown, a lot of people stop linking up. So hopefully out there, y'all have little networks and families and crews out there where y'all live at, where y'all still link up. But since we see each other in digital world a lot, we can at least link up from time to time at some of these events. This recipe yields a lot of juice because everything we're putting in here, has a lot of water in it. The apples, the carrots, and the pineapple, especially the pineapple. Pineapples will get you up to a quart and a gallon real quick. Just a few more on the apples tip. And then we're going to kind of mix up the pineapples and carrots, because pineapples have a way of jamming the juicer up a little bit after you do a few of them. So to keep things smooth, you could just chase it with a carrot every now and then. All right, that's the apple action. Yeah, I was talking about that earlier, Barbara. Depends on what I'm making. If it's the green fiber stuff, just primarily the green, then I may use it. I may switch it over and use it in smoothies. But you have to rehydrate it, so you have to add some type of water if you want. You're gonna add a little bit of water, like I have this. You can add some water into the fiber stuff, swirl it around, and drop it as your fiber into your smoothie, and then do your usual green mix. Which, if you guys want, I can do I can do, well, no, I can't because I don't have the ice ready yet, but I can do the, I usually do pineapple, banana, and I pick a green, spinach, dandelion, or kale. And you guys will see with the pineapple how quickly the container starts to fill up, because pineapple has a lot of water content. If you want something sweet and good to mix into like a stir fry, the pulp from the pineapple is great, because sometimes it retains just enough water in the pulp where you can get a lot of flavor out of it. The only question with that is, do you like the consistency of it? So you gotta really make sure you get your consistency is correct. Like, for instance, I don't like the crumb type taste. So, and what do I mean by that? Like crackers and soup, the bottom of the cereal box, that kind of thing. All right, I'm about to swap out containers. So let's do a push. There's one container right there. Now we continue with the pineapple. And again, because it's pineapple, you're going to see how quickly it adds to the pile, because there's a lot of water there. That is a good question. If my schedule allows me to, Barbara, I will go to CKT and Victor in Brooklyn. Because I just switched jobs and I'm doing some engineering now, along with my photography gets pushed to the weekends and nights. So because of that, if I have a job on the day that event is happening, then I won't be able to make it. Because photography is what I do. So even if I showed up to that event, here comes the carrot. Even if I came to that event, you guys would know, because I'm gonna have my camera equipment on me. I always do. Because I keep records of a lot of stuff. My stuff and people I know. Carrot action. Like I said, carrot's good to go last because it pushes through whatever's left inside the filter. And for those who weren't on the last live stream where I did the other juice, I'm not a big fan of the super fast blade juicers. Perhaps if they're cold press, it's fine. But a lot of people buy them because they're cheap and they're fast, but they forget that speed induces heat, and heat denatures the food. And if you denature juice, you'll know it because if you take orange juice, there's a quick way to know. And you run it through one of these slow auger juices, which is why it pushes to the side like this. If you use a fast juicer next to this one, you're going to notice a big difference in color. All right, peoples, we almost there. One more carrot left. overfilled fibrous content. And if you look at the last live stream, I believe the name of the juicer, I put it in there, and it's Aobosi, Aobosi. It's right now it was on discount when I last checked. It was $90. This juicer is better than the Omega. I spent $300 on the Omega, and it's almost like anytime I got to about like a half gallon, the Omega would get too hot. I remember the plastic part on the front broke off. Like it wasn't built for like large amounts of juice. So this was recommended. My wife found it. I grabbed it up. I had no issues with it yet. I could double the amount that I did and still be cool and be willing to keep going. It's not even heating up. And that's the part that I like. All right, so we're good there. Just waiting for the last few drippings to come out. So the juicing part is done. See how much pulp we got, right? Plenty of that filling up the container. We move that off to the side, and you can decide while it's sitting if you have any anything you want to be able to do with that. And I'm going to break this down because I don't want it to sit and dry out. It's harder to clean that way. Come back over here with Jack Lane juicer. Some of the a lot of stuff that was that's classic is better than the modern stuff. The biggest issue you have with classic stuff is the weight. But that was about it. Bigger, heavier juicer, stainless steel joints. Those are great. Stainless steel yields the temperature fast, so if your fruits and stuff are cold, and the blades will pick up the temperature real fast. There's I think Angel. That was one of the companies that made a dual gear version of the one that I'm using now. But your budget had to be like almost $2,000. Yeah, they got different versions of it, but you're making a decision over whether you want plastic or different types of metals. We got that. So those are our two containers, right? Unplug that because we're done. Look around. Now, as usual, some of y'all, there's pulp inside of this, like very fine pulps. And like I said, I'm not the crackers in the soup kind of person or the bottom of the cereal box and in milk kind of person. So I like to filter out. So many steps that I'm adding in. People who are extremely efficient and do this, they can quickly get out of the session. So for instance, some people don't peel the carrots down on the edges. They just drop it right in the juicer. They might give it a rinse, just to get the dirt off the edges. But the dark lines that go around the carrot and all that stuff and the little fine fibers, they don't get rid of that. Piece of that could wind up in here. So I like to skin my carrots down for that reason. Some people don't. They take the carrot, they dump it right in. That's less time right there. They have a bigger opening in their juicer container so they can put whole apples in it. Less time cutting right there. You just put the whole apple inside of there. You might be faster at cutting your pineapple. Less time right there. The filtering part, which I'm about to do, less time right there because you're not filtering. You can put things straight in the glass and just start drinking like this right here. If you want, you can throw that in the cup. Everybody know we got the big balls cup waiting right here. So we know this is what I'm going to use for this drink. So all of that is going to go right in here. So I'm going to filter up because that's my preferred method. But if you don't filter up, you keep more of the pulp in there. That's a part of the fiber. So you're keeping some fiber content in there. So if it's like a colon issue, you got colon issues, colon cancer, you're fighting and stuff like that, keep the pulp in there, okay? Which in that case, you want to do smoothies, but then there's a problem with that. Concentrated sugars and cancer don't work too well together because you're feeding the cancer, right? So that's why most people want to go bitter and they want to go green. So, you know, keep that in mind. All right, let's get the one that's been waiting, because as you can see, there's foam on top. I don't want foam. I just want juice. But keep this against the filter so I don't get a lot of foam out. Right, next one. Now I went ahead the carrot and just the pineapple in it. I'm going to add a lot of vibrant color. Look at the vibrant color of the carrot juice. Carrots don't leave a lot of pulp behind too. It becomes real fine real quick. Do a little bit of cleaning as you go. Things don't get difficult from you letting things sit too long. So I rinse things out so they're faster to clean later on. All right, so there's that. Keep the filter soaked so nothing freezes on that. We got a second filter. Why? Because you know what it's time for. Time for that lemon. Here's my lemon. It's under here. Yep. Lemon action right here. What I always tell people to do, palm on it, roll the lemon to get the juice to go towards the center. Cut in half. Remember, going forward. Of course, I always talk proper cutting technique is usually to crook the fingers and cut like that. That way, if you cut anything, you cut the edge of the knuckle and not the finger off. But I don't have like the sharpest blade in the world, and I stay far from my fingers, like I have something to bump up against. So, right. This is a seeded lemon. Everything I use is organic, if anyone is wondering. And then I just squeeze through the filter so I don't, you know, get any too much pulp in there, and I catch the seeds. Those of you who live in warm climates, you can bury the seeds and grow more lemons. One half. A half a lemon for some people is good. There's a lot of zing when you put the lemon in there. I use a full lemon when I make my juice. And I'm just pretty much squeezing and spinning it. And then whatever's sticking out front, I just press it against the seed and keep on going. Set. So that too, so that's ready to clean. Aerate. Now the color's really sharp in this, but it's not the sharpest orange you can get, and that's because I was using the pineapple, obviously. Still brings about a nice color. It's not too pale. So obviously, if you look at the orange of the carrot and then you look at the orange of the juice, it's not exactly the same. There's a little bit of a difference, say. And from here, the big balls glass. This cutting board, glass here, filter on top, and sometimes to avoid the spill action, put a paper towel below. And let it rip. See, plenty of juice left. If you compare it to what we did last time, where it was more grains in it, that's why I say there's more water in certain fruits. So it yields more juice. So cheers. Break out something else. Probably fill this up too. See, still more, right? So if you're wondering how much of a serving, what it is I make yields, you're already seeing it, right? Look at that color. All right, peoples, cheers. Drink juice, drink it like a grown man. And more. That there, butylated. You want to make the thumbnail look pretty? Put that right there. Even though it ain't no ginger in it, put that right there. A few pieces of this on there, right? Thumbnail it up. So yeah, there's your juice. What did we put in it? Fuji apples, 6 Fuji apples, medium size, not the largest size in the world, but standard size apples. 6 Fuji apples, 1 whole pineapple, not the biggest pineapple in the world, but 1 whole pineapple. Generally, just so you guys know, this recipe we made, I used the entire pineapple because of the color it was turning. I didn't want the fruit flies to show up from letting it sit too long. Normally, you would use 3 of those rings. I used, what was it, 5 or 6 rings, you know. And when I say rings, I mean based on the way you cut it, an inch down all the way to the bottom. So I used about 6 rings, some small, some large. And I used a full lemon and 6 carrots, nice long size carrots. So you guys can proportion that out as you want it, but everything was pretty much in the medium and the large category that I used. So 6 of the Fuji apples. I used an entire pineapple, but you're supposed to use 3 rings of it, so that'll make it less thick. 6 carrots, long carrots, not small carrots. Even if you get them in the green bunch, that's good too. And 1 whole lemon. Okay, simple ingredients, fast to cut, fast to juice. Not a lot of complicated stuff. Like I said, I don't like things to be too complicated. As you can see, my process was kind of laid out before I started. As I always tell people, when you're going to juice, allow about an hour. And even though that hour has a lot to do with prep time, setup, breakdown, cleanup, and all that, the actual part where you yield the juice, you can maximize your efficiency if you do more juicing while you're doing that session. So it's better, instead of juicing enough to get this much that I got, it's better for you to double and triple the amount instead of doing just this much 3 times. You're going to wind up wasting more time doing it that way. So if you do like a session like I did, you could double down on everything I did, and now you basically got a gallon of juice. If you go from there having that gallon of juice, then it'll last longer. But here's the thing. It's tricky with juicing. You usually want to down the juice in 48 hours. When you get to 72, it's starting to fall off a little bit in terms of oxidation. And anything beyond 72, it's not bad for you, but it's not. It's like what you paid for it, you're not getting 50% of it, about 50% of it. So this color starts to fade. It's no different than seasonings. People have seasonings in their carrot because they have large things of seasonings for years. But pay attention to your seasoning. The color does not stay the same. The smell, like sometimes when you crack the seasonings open, some of the really good seasonings, when you crack them open, you can smell them all throughout the living room, the house, everywhere. But then when they get older, you crack them open, you barely smell them. See, that shows you that the potency is going down. Okay. Yep, there you go. That's it right there. Yep. And taste will not be an issue. I've even made juices, and I just got beets in our So if you look at the thumbnail of the live stream picture, that is a pickup that we just got from our local farmers. We do the co-op thing where you pay a certain amount and you get a regular delivery. You can get it every week or every 2 weeks. And I actually got beets in this delivery. So because I have beets in this delivery, I can juice beets. And I've juiced beets in such a way where kids love it. And I'm talking under 5 years old, the ones who normally be like ill and throw it away. But I remember I made one with beets and it came out with this color, this strong purple color. And the child was like, awesome, I don't know. And the mom drunk it because I didn't have any green or the other ones left. She was like, I'll try that one, right? So she drinks it. Oh, that was good. So the daughter wanted some. The daughter took some, and when the mom took it back, the daughter wanted to take it back again and finish it off. So that just goes to show you mix it right, people will love it. And these are really sweet. So again, we're doing things that are like not great for the diabetic person, but good for people who are trying to maintain and pick up certain levels of nutrition and pigments. Because remember, pigments are very important. Lutein, zeaxanthin, chlorophyll, which will be your magnesium side, lycopene, which is your reds. So make sure you get plenty of colors when it comes to your foods, right? So for those of you, what did I catch up with recently? Man, a lot of stuff that I want to catch you guys up with, we either got to do it in person or on something private, because a lot of stuff is related to what's going on in the world health, so to speak, the things we can't talk about. And I got a lot of extra information on that. And I can't talk about most of it because it'll just get your page shut down, which is a shame. Shows you the direction we're going in right now. But yes, it's pretty much, it's the aftermath of the recommended thing that they're trying to get everybody to get hooked up with. So it has to do with the aftermath of that. There's a lot more information on that. Of course, there's the monkey stuff going on right now. There's information about that, but like I said, I can't really go too deep into it because of the censorship and stuff. So we can only stick with biochemistry. So if we talk about body parts related to things, that tends to not be an issue because you're just talking straight biochemistry. And we know I can rock with that all day. But if we talk about like specific products and things like that, you can't because because of the terms that we are. All right. How much is recommended consumption at one time? It is natural food. If you do not have diabetes or anything like that, you'll be full before it's ever a problem. However, if it's up to me, one of these glasses full is great for me in a sitting. I usually do it with right before or after my food. You can even do it as a meal, but if you do, trust me, if you just got finished working out and this stuff is cold, you will run through it. A glass like this, you'll run through 3/4 of it if you worked out hard enough. So it's not going to hurt you because it's pretty much natural fruit. But again, keep your fruits there, keep your exercise there, and keep your greens there at night. Go green heavy at night. Don't do like this all 3 meals all day long because you're just, unless you're burning that up real fast, you're just pushing your sugar levels up for nothing. Again, even if it's natural. Natural does not mean that your sugar levels in your body cannot get high. It just means that the way it moves through your system is more natural. Everything is within it to kind of get itself in and get itself out. But there's a portion, remember, of these fruits and things that has to stay. And the carbs stick around. The proteins stick around. A lot of the minerals stick around. But the sugars stick around. So again, you keep putting gas in the tank and not burning it off, not proving to your body you need as much fuel as you're putting in, you cause imbalance issues. So the problem with the bad stuff, the artificial stuff, jumps into your bloodstream very fast. And that's the issue, which means because that stuff is not natural, like soda, it comes, first of all, you send it through your mouth, and the soda, the acid and stuff is going to burn away at your gums and teeth because there's sugar in it, and sugar eats away. That's the main thing that decays parts of your body. So the sugar starts to eat away at your mouth. Then it hits your digestive tract, and you get some of those acids burning away the microvilli and the glycocalyx, which is like the sugar finger coatings. Or most of your stuff, you burn that away. Now you get that stuff quickly moving into your bloodstream because most of the fiber and the mineral content is missing. So when you don't have things that slows down the movement of it through your system, it gets the sugar in very quick. And then you get wired. Like you notice the children always go bouncing off the walls. That's their body giving them signals to burn up the sugar. So because they have a lot of activity, they can do this, like what I'm doing right now, no issue. Now they can't obviously say, well, we can give them, sweet candies and baked goods and stuff on a regular, because even though they might be burning up a lot of the sugars and stuff they're eating, is saturated fat, and the artificial and the ingredients, the mixture, the chemistry that's going through is going to gum up the system. So tends to be a difference between you winding with one problem or another, but a problem nonetheless, right? So artificial versus natural sugar, you're talking about the speed at which it goes into the system. At the end of the day, if you overfill the tank long enough without burning it within an efficient manner or within a good enough time period, you still wind up with a sugar issue. So you don't want to be overdoing it. But natural fruits tend to have, like, let's say you just ate the pineapple straight up, it tends to have so much fiber and water and mineral content in it, you'll be full before it'll ever do any damage. Which is why in the 40-day fruit fast, Inky tells you, when you have your bowl of fruit session in the morning, have at it, because you're going to be full, especially if you did the cups of water with the pills that he tells you to take. Which I think, okay, here you go, chemiluminescence, right? Oh, yeah, chemiluminescence. So these are the capsules that you take when you're doing your 40-day fruit fast. And you get about 2 of these, and you get the sea moss gel, right? Break that out. So you get that, and then you get the sea moss gel. Break that. Sea moss gel. Blue Magic. So yeah, you get those two. You do the sea moss gel drinks once a day. Once a day is like your tea or whatever, because it gels the water. So it's good for your iodine content, your B12 content, because it's a sea veggie. A lot of stuff that's good for bones and skin and nails and stuff like that. And then you have the capsules, which is going to be your mineral content. It's going to help out with things like digestion, pulling metals out of the system, and all kinds of stuff. So the 40-day fruit fast, the longer you do it, the more benefits you're going to see. Cheers again. Like I said, drink it like a grown man. What else? Anything else? A lot of people know one of the classic things they would say is carrots help your eyes. So does bilberry. Bilberries don't help in your eyes, but bilberry is the mineral that helps the pancreas when you're talking about diabetes. And vanadyl sulfate is bilberry is the herb that helps the pancreas. Vanadyl sulfate is the mineral, aka vanadium and sulfur combination chemistry that helps the pancreas. And then the amino acid, I believe, is glutathione. So you have this was Dr. Lila Africa who taught this, but you got the mineral, the amino acid, the herb, and I think there's a fourth category, maybe a vitamin that helps with these situations. So there's multiple options if you do enough study on how to help yourself with these different diseases. My favorite blood cleanser, because it's just the one I know the most about, is red clover. Red clover tea. Let's say you're waiting on your sea moss to come in, and you just need something to keep cleansing your blood as you're going through the fast. Because blood cells will renew themselves within 90 to 120 days. So if you keep your fast good and clean and keep doing your exercise, you'll have renewed blood vessels within 3 to 4 months. But on the way there, you're going to notice things like weight loss. If you're doing your exercises, you're going to have loss of body fat percentage. Because remember, losing weight and body fat percentage are two different things. That's why it's called body fat percentage, meaning of the amount, however much you weigh, what percent of that is fat versus what percent is muscle. So, they have this whole body shaming thing, but really what that's about is there's two sides to the argument, and no one seems to want to take the middle ground, which is no matter how much you weigh, the question is what percentage of that is fat versus muscle. You want to weigh 300 pounds? Cool. can you hold majority of that in muscle? And the percentage number recommended is different from men to women. I think for women, it's like what is it like? You'll hear between like 22 and 16%. And with the men, you'll hear between like 16 and 12. Like different people have it fluctuating. If it were up to me, if I were a woman, I'd try to get the body fat percentage below 18. And if I were men, I would try and get it to 14 or below. So, but that's just what I would say, right? Because right now, if you check mine's going to be probably somewhere between 14 and 16. And that's because it's summertime, and even though I get fruit heavy in the summertime, well, everything's always being grilled, and everything's high in carbs and calories and stuff like that. So, what else? Let's bring this down now. Just leave a big balls cup. Make sure y'all get y'all know what these cups are usually used for. They're usually large cups for beers, but no, not around these parts, right? Around these parts is large cups for juice. And even though I'm used to maintaining about 210 to 212 pounds, I'm 203 now. But a large proportion of my body is muscle content. So yeah, you can tell some of the fiber fell to the bottom on that one. I got that fibrous thing that I said I hate at the bottom, but it's whatever. It ain't bad for me, so I'm not going to complain. Stir it. Y'all know how y'all be buying juices and it says sedimentation settling at the bottom is natural. Yep, that's what happens when you make your own juice. So if you're on, like, let's say a juice bar, then you're going to want to make sure when you create these things, you got to account for costs because, fruits and veggies don't last for so long. Usually keep a lot of stuff around for about a week. And then it starts to fall off. So when you make juices with that stuff, like let's say I made this and then I start making containers out of it, charge maybe $8 a container. If you buy organic fruits and veggies, you're not making a lot of profit on that. So people who look at those little bottles of juice they got at Whole Foods, it's like, oh, it's like $8 for a serving. This is why I tell people that, like, I think it makes sense in today's world. If it were me and I had all the money in the world, it would make sense for me to be living off $30 a day. Some people would say that, oh, it's so expensive, $30 a day. What's that? 3 times 7 is $210 a week. I know bodybuilders who do $300 a week easy. So $210 a week, you're talking about, what's that, $840 a month? But that's food. The question is, where do I want my investment to lie? Do I want it to be in health insurance because I'm eating bad food that's really cheap, or good food? And you can even take the good food, the amounts that I'm telling you, get a local farmer, you could really knock the numbers down. Like that bag of apples I got has 10 apples in it, and that bag is $6.99. You go to a local farmer, you could probably cut that price by more than half for the same amount of apples. And it's very natural too, so that means the food ain't, once it comes off the tree, the way it really works is the moment you snatch a fruit that falls off the tree, you snatch it off, it's like removing a baby off the breast. So the ability for new nutrition to come in and continue to give it life to grow bigger stops. So that means at this point, the elements start to come in and break it down. So the proper way, if you had the opportunity, if you go to different countries to eat food, is to pull it off the tree and immediately consume it, because that's when it's at its highest nutritional content. The supermarket stuff we get, they tend to pull it off a little early, just so it can be like, ripened as it hits the supermarket or a few days after it gets to you. So it's not the most optimal level, but at the same time, it's not a hurtful level either. It's just not as much as you would get in the past when you would just walk outside, grab up, and had at it, right? All right. Trying to think. Those who weren't here earlier, I was showing you guys the difference between turmeric and ginger root. See? This is turmeric root. This is ginger root. See how they look alike? The turmeric has deeper lines running through it. The ginger does not, but it can, depending on which parts you pick up. And you look at the color difference. See, turmeric, ginger. The live turmeric, when people are talking about the anti-inflammatory properties, live turmeric. You do have the dry one, which is fine, but it's just the fiber content, but there's no water, which is why you got to add the water back. But then you got to ask yourself, So you see how complicated this is getting now? Because when you really dig in, you have to really learn it to see how it works. Some of your vitamins are fat soluble and some of them are water soluble. So you ask yourself, the yellow color is usually vitamin A. So what does vitamin A absorb faster in? Well, A, D, E, and K are fat soluble vitamins. So people will take turmeric and make stir fries and they'll use an oil, right? And primarily they will use olive oils, two different types, right? And this one is, even though it doesn't have the better presentation, would be considered the better version. But these are both really high quality versions, not because of price, but because they're just well taken care of before they hit the market. And there are kinds that are more expensive than that, and some are more expensive and don't do as much for you. See? So you got the turmeric and you got the ginger. You get them dry. If you cook foods, it's best to use, I was taught by chefs to use the dry and the wet ingredient for maximum potency when you're adding it. You can actually use less of the seasoning that way, but get more potency out of it. So, you're making a stir-fry dish and you pat some turmeric on it. Make sure you also cut up and put some live turmeric in there too. All right. I don't see too many more questions coming through. So I'm going to get ready to pack it up, pack it in, get on up off of here. And I guess the doc must be really busy because I know I have my these live streams, sometimes I pop them up at the last minute, but I do send a message to him, letting them know that I'm going live. So he's probably doing a lot of prep work for the event. So he hasn't caught up on the stream yet, but I'll check with him soon enough to see when he wants to jump back in. Or maybe the event, because I heard the event was doing really good at selling tickets. So, and for those of you out in the chat room who are not familiar yet, the event is going to be in New York on July 10th. And I believe it is a lecture and the premiere of the American Healer documentary by Dr. Inky. The tickets can be bought on the, if you go back at my previous live streams, you'll see one with a picture of it, but it's the Hudson Valley Theater, and you'll see it. It'll be the thumbnail of the video, the Hudson Valley Theater. And if you check that live stream and the one after it, inside the description should be the link directly to the tickets. The tickets range from $15 to $35, depending on what section you're in per person. That's actually pretty good. I don't think because we didn't raise enough money for like it might come up, but as far as I know, no big full-fledged weekend kind of thing. So you didn't hear anything about cheap hotels. So the good thing is the part of New York that we're in is not downtown in the city of Manhattan. So you don't have to worry about like $500 a night type thing. So if you guys book early, if you're coming in the area to hang out, then you'll be able to get hotel rates that are probably between $100 and $150. So which is pretty decent for coming in. And as usual, make sure you have your travel and all the things you would normally do if you're traveling in to hang out with some people for a little bit. If it were up to me, I would probably get into, even with the event going on, I kind of hang out for the surrounding days. I don't come down for one day and then leave. I plan out to have a trip for a few days. So, but that's just the way that I kind of do things. I live close to New York. So for me, it's a drive up. It's a day drive back. It's not really an issue for me. I'll eat the tolls and the parking and all that crap like that, because it's more worth it than hoteling up unless we were having a full weekend. And I would just get a hotel and hang out in the area. Right. Let's see. Which is best and for what type of cooking? Extra virgin, or if you can get olives straight off the vine and crush them yourself. But everyone uses extra virgin olive oil. The key is in any oil, don't take it above the smoke point. Olive oil, coconut oil, those are not high heat oils. So they're meant for minimum heat sauteing, okay? So usually what you would do is you would put some olive oil in the pan. You would heat up the pan. If the pan starts to smoke, you took it above the smoke point. But once the olive oil gets a little bit of a heat to it, then you can put your live seasonings and powder seasoning into it and stir it around to infuse it in. Then put your veggies on top and start to mix in. Now, if you did what they call blanching your veggies, which gives them a vibrant color, I know broccoli, it's easy to do it with because you can do this when you steam it, but you take a boiling pot of hot water. You send it to a boil. You put the broccoli in there for 45 seconds, and you immediately dump it out into like a colander, which is like a bowl with holes in it, so the water comes out. Then when you dump the broccoli out, you get the water out of the pot first, and then you take the broccoli itself and you dump it right into ice water. And that quick change in temperature from hot to cold will make the vibrancy of the color green come up when you let it sit there for a few seconds. Then you throw it in the saute pan for a light saute because all you're doing is heating it back up. Now, if you start to burn the edges of your veggies, that means you got the heat up too high again. So you shouldn't have, when you make your stir fry, you shouldn't have any burn in the veggies. If you guys go to my Instagram, Marvin Health and Arts, and you scroll down far enough, you'll see a stir fry I got in there where it's got this turmeric, this ginger. It's even got the powdered versions in it. It's got purple onions in it. It's got cabbage in it. It's got carrots in it. It's got red and yellow bell peppers in it. And what did I have in there that was the broccoli was the green, right? So that's why I didn't use green bell peppers and a little bit of salt, and I sauteed everything in olive oil. One of the tricks that I use though, so I don't have a color mesh going on, is I have a smaller pan that I saute each veggie in first to heat it up in a little bit of olive oil before I put them in the main stir fry mix. Why? Because let's say you have onions and you have carrots in there at the same time. If the onions are not purple, or even if they are, the turmeric color and the carrot color will infuse into it and disturb the color of the dish. So if you're trying to have a nice presentation, you need to cook them separately and then stir them in together when you're about to finish. That way the oils don't leak into the other stuff nearby and repigment everything and have the whole dish looking kind of mucky. But again, that's me, because to me, the taste, the nutrition, the presentation matters. So when you guys start seeing me come on here and I'm cooking dishes, you're going to notice the same thing. Presentation matters. Go to my Marvin Health and Arts. Go down far enough and look at the vegan chili I made. Presentation. So that's what's important to me, because when you're trying to make people healthier, they're gonna tell you like, oh man, it's pretty. They're gonna be looking at everything you do. They're gonna be like, that sounds good. That looks pretty. And then the last thing they got to do is taste it. And if your taste is on point, you're going to be successfully pulling that person away from that addiction factor that they developed for us in today's world, where everything's got to be greasy, salty, sugary for you to actually like it. And when people say season the food, the primary seasoning they're talking about is salt. Because you can replace the butter with the olive oil. If you still throw enough salt in there, people will like it. If you take enough of the sugar, if you throw enough butter in there with the sugar, people will like it even more, because butter and sugar makes the sugar smoother. And fats tend to hide the strength of some of these things. So you want to be able to add more. So it gets crazy. When I add sea moss to my juices, I defeat the object of juicing. Kind of, because the sea moss is thick and the juice is thin, right? When you put the sea moss in it, you might want to do that as your thickener for smoothies. For me, I tend to thicken my smoothies majority of the time with bananas, but you can thicken your smoothie with sea moss. But if you do it, remember, sea moss is going to have a strong fishy smell, so you better make sure you have a recipe to cut it. Otherwise, you're better off drinking the sea moss as a tea in the beginning of the day or later in the day. Now, what would I use instead of sea moss as a thickener? Psyllium husk. I don't know if I have that here. I might need a new jar of it. Here we go. Psyllium husk. I wonder if I can do this right now on stream for you guys. Let's find out. So let's rinse this glass out. Cut that off, right? So rinse that glass off. Grab me a spoon. And I'm doing this with non-heated water, so I'm gambling this like up front. Psyllium husk looks like grinded oatmeal. That's what it looks like. That's not what it actually is. So up close I can get that. With focus, doesn't look like it wants to. Oh, it tried. Let's move it away. Try it again. It won't focus. Almost, kind of. Nope. Pull it back. I'm spilling some. But it looks kind of like looks a little oatmealish. Put a little more in there. Let's get some water. Just pour it on top. I don't know if my ratios are right. My ratio is right. And after a while, this will gel. Get a smooth stir going. We'll let that sit for a second. Let's see if we can, like I said, there's no heat in that. So we'll see what happens. Heat usually helps with a faster activation. You can even cheat, even though I wouldn't want to do it, microwave the water. Well, microwaves are a dehydrator, so. Get that gel now. Things out the way. We'll let that sit for a little bit. I'm gonna see if that gels. It does, that'd be cool. I do have it, like again, I said it's on my or at least it was on my Instagram. But I had a video of what it looked like when it gelled. And I was scooping it out and you would see it kind of move. If I gel it enough, that thing will be like Jello. And in hot water, it moves pretty quick. Nothing yet. I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit. But yeah, psyllium husk. Yeah, it does look like oat bran, but it does have a bit of a oaty oat kind of flavor to it. It's very light though. But you get some hot water, you throw this in there, you spin it, you let it sit. That thing gets like really thick gel. Do not do. I think the instructions on that thing were terrible on the Whole Foods one because it says add 2 tablespoons on the joint and a cup of water. So you put 16 ounces on top and you just drink it right down. And I think what happens is while it's in your system, it starts gelling. But they tell you if you don't have enough water, you'll start to choke. The first time I did it the way they said, I felt like it was like backing up in my throat, like I was going to choke because I didn't, and I was chugging the crap out some water. So my preference is put the tablespoon in like this kind of glass, maybe a half to a full tablespoon, and warm water, like warm to, lukewarm water, not hot, but not enough to scald. If you're going to do pretty hot, like in tea, stir that thing up and wait for it to gel first, and then take it down or add it to something. That's what I would say do. So, and that's from experience. You don't want that tingling throat feeling that I got. You just coughing like something's down there and it's not coming up. That's annoying. It's almost time to do some cleanup. If I let too much of this stuff sit, it's gonna make it harder to clean. But for me, cleanup's pretty quick. If you got a dishwasher, you can do that too. That kind of makes it a little bit easier to clean up. But let's see, is this getting a little thicker? It is getting thicker. It's just not doing it as fast. Yeah, it's not doing it as fast, but it is doing it. And what's funny is if you get the one that's not grinded down, and it's like actual long flakes, it still gels. Like the color, all this color like disappears and it still gels. It's crazy. All right, we put a little wrap on top of this. Throw it in the refrigerator because it's going to be for dinner pretty much not too long from now because by 7 I gotta eat dinner because that's the way the fast works for me. I do some strong intermittent fasting. I did not start eating the day until what time was it? I was getting my car inspected earlier, so I started eating after 1. Yeah, I started eating after 1 o'clock. Have always plenty of water on deck. Right. This one is a New Zealand water. We have a place nearby us that's like a cabinet. You go there and you put like 75 cents in the cabinet and you get 2 gallons out of it. So we have this big water container back here which holds 2 gallons. So 75% or 75 cents, 75 cents fills this up. And that water is on findaspring.com. That water pipes in directly from a stream. So there is no or filtered tap, whatever coming from that cabinet. So that's the spot that we go to when we do it. Which olive oil brands do I trust? It changes. I like to look around, but I'll just show you the two that I have right now. Frankie's, because I like the bottling method. This is the most expensive though. You get these cans, like you get a tall or big version of this can, it's gonna be $30. And this one, it's a high quality. I wouldn't put it way up there, but it's from California, which is fine. Lucchini's. This one just has a pretty look. Truthfully, I use this one because when I do my cooking videos, it just looks cool. But I did make sure it's a premium select. So at the very least, I just make sure it's a decent brand. I'm not growing it. I don't have any local farmers that grow it, so I can't say how much I truly trust the brands. But the Frankie's, I tend to like the Frankie's version the best. You can just sometimes you can taste the olive oils. You can, like I said, when you crack these things open and you run the scent check on them, some things are stronger than others. You automatically know right there. So that's going to raise the quality profile already. It's strong. Let's see how we do. It's better with warm water, but it's not gelling as well. But it is. This is thicker though, because it ain't stirring as easy. So you know it's kind of working right there. See, it ain't just running off as easy. But yep, psyllium husk, high in fiber. You need fiber. Fiber is what works wonders for digestive tracts, people who are bodybuilding, metabolism. Fiber works wonders. Fiber is the main reason that you stave off colon cancer next to water. When you combine water and you combine fiber at the same time, you're talking about hydration and elimination. And a smooth elimination at that, which is why you got the insoluble and soluble fiber thing that I talked about in the past live stream. So it's very important. Yep. Frankie's 457 and Lucchini's. Those are the current brands that I use. I don't think we have any coconut oil around, but I'll tell you what I do with coconut oil. If you're a fan of the taste of coconut oil, whenever I steam any veggies, steam, remember, I'm not sauteing or cooking, so I steam them. What I'll do is I'll put a tablespoon of coconut oil in like this large metal bowl I was putting my fruits in earlier, and I'll stir it around to let the oil coat the warm, because remember, you just steam the veggies so they're warm. So it'll melt the coconut oil and it'll coat the veggies. And then you can either, you don't have to do the salt. You can do the, what we're using, the kelp flakes, like Inky says, so you can get your sodium content and your iodine. But if you do use salt, you're going to have like this essence of coconut versus like a strong coconut taste. It's going to be like an essence of coconut that I like, especially on like broccoli. So that's my preference for that. All right, how we've been on here an hour and 19. Well, I'm about to check out, peoples. Next time I'm gonna heat this up in jelly because it's faster. Like right now, it is heavier, so it is infusing. It's just much slower when it's not hot. See, it's becoming like a smooth drip. But if I were to have done this hot, this thing, it would be falling like damn near in chunks, or it'll just be like, depending on what the ratio is, that drip will come down really slow and you'll be able to like pull it. And that's how you know. And that gel, you can imagine like with the edge of this pineapple, you see how it's got these little fibers sticking up on the edge? That's like the little villi in your digestive tract. So if you can imagine, if I run water across this and then tip it, it will fall right down. But if I have a clear gel gliding and pushing across this, the gel would slip and stick to the coating, which means it would make the inside of your digestive tract more slick. And because it's more slick, if you have minerals in that gel, like if I were to add herbs and minerals and things to this gel, what I would be doing is when the gel slides across the villi, across the digestive tract, now because it's leaving residue, your body's going to pull that in. And it's going to help hydrate everything it pulls through because it's more gel. And that's the way you want things in your system. You want your system hydrated, but it's hydrated in sort of a gel state, right? It's not hydrated in a perfect watery state. It's water with mineral content in it to gel it up, so that the water kind of makes everything slick and be able to stretch and hydrate and all that stuff like that. So that's the importance of having soluble fiber, because soluble fiber absorbs the water, which gels the water. And that's what gives you the benefit that you're getting out of it. Otherwise, if you keep eating the bad stuff, these little villi right here, that area gums up. And because your body needs everything slick and everything has to have open channels for communication, you gum it up, and then there's no communication to the other parts of the body. And eventually, because things aren't getting to it that it needs to, these little villi will erode and decay. And eventually, when you don't have the villi, you'll create these you'll create the leaky gut syndrome they talk about. You'll start to shit off the little microvilli and the glycocalyx and stuff from your cells. And all of a sudden, larger pieces of food, or foreign protein, as we would call it, starts to get into your system without it being digested. And that can cause allergic reactions, unbalanced functions of the body, and different digestive disorders, and bloodstream disorders. Because remember, at this point, you're getting large chunks of things into the bloodstream that shouldn't be there in that form. So that's what causes the disturbance and the issues that you have within the body. So got to take care of that coating, that lining of the digestive tract, in order to keep yourself going. All right, peoples. Thanks for coming through. Here's another juicing recipe for you, plus some other information. Next time I come on here, we'll probably do a smoothie, and I'm thinking about maybe a dish. I'll figure out what that dish is. If you guys go, let's do the due diligence here, right? Follow me on Marvin Health and Arts on Instagram, Marvin Health and Arts. You can combine it all. The picture will look like a fall tree, all yellow leaves. That's what the picture looks like. You can send recipes you might want me to cook to the messenger on Instagram. Or if you have a link you want to put in the comment section, remember the chat during a live video and the comment section are two different things. If you want me to see things later on, put it in the comment section after the live stream ends, and not in the live chat. Because the live chat is for people who are reviewing the video to see. The comments go to me, which is a little bit different. Other people can see it, but they still come to me as an alert. Okay, so if you have recipes, if the ingredients aren't too rough, I don't have to go to the hills of Italy and Antarctica to get them, then it's fair game, and I'll try and make that on stream. And even taste test it up front. Sometimes I make a dish before I do it on live stream to see what it tastes like and know all the kinks and stuff I got to work out so it goes smoothly online. Like this video so more people can see it. Share it if there's someone you think that needs it. And subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. All right, guys. So until next time, I'll talk to you later. Love you guys. Peace.